The world feels like a very scary place to live in, especially for new adults, young adults like myself and like my friends. And it's very difficult to have a conversation without having something worldly come up that essentially has to do with, the fascist takeover of our government in this country that we've been brought up in, whose values are very important to us, consumerism and working really hard and making a lot of money. And those things are, I think, all of our ultimate goals. But, I think there is sort of an awakening happening among a lot of young people in terms of perhaps there's more to life than working. And obviously, you can say that and not really mean it. And a lot of people say that and don't really mean it. My parents always say little anecdotes about, we need to live more, etc. And they end up continuously, working. They're going to work for at least 7 more years into their 60s. And I think that's very sad, and I don't want to have that sort of fate. And so something I've been trying to do is save up a lot of money, as are a lot of other young people. And that's not as hard as it's not as easy as the American dream would have us think, because the cost of living is very high right now. But I thought I would talk about some of the things that I do that keep my cost of living low. Number one, I try to consume as little as possible, and that means cutting out things that I wish I could have but are not needs. And obviously, that's very easy to say and not follow through upon. But I will say my main goal this year was to not purchase any clothes, and I actually did purchase 6 articles of clothing this year, but they were items that I knew I would use, and I have indeed ended up using them. And I think clothing is a very easy place to start if you're wanting to cut down on things that you buy, because number one, it's very easy to have a closet that's overfilled and having a lot of stuff that you don't wear normally. On the other hand, it's very easy to think about how, you don't want to be seen in the same outfit every single day or every other day, especially if you are concerned about your public presence, whether you're in like some sort of social club or something. And everyone wants to be very cool. I think maybe not everyone, but I think most of us, it's normal to want to be cool and fit in and everything. But I think the cost has become so high to participate in fashion and stuff. And I used to be very into fashion, and so I have a lot of items that I've collected over the years that I now completely regret because they're not in style. And, it's just a waste, and ultimately it's all going to end up in a landfill. Number 2 is I think everyone should start dumpster diving. Not everyone. Dumpster diving is sort of a very careful dance between, these big corporations and these managers at these big buildings, finding out that people are digging through the trash and then locking the trash because they don't want people to have, discarded items for free, because that's a waste of profit. Even though those items are going to end up in the landfill within 48 hours or whatever. And so if you're a student, the easiest place to start with this is visiting your local fraternity and sorority houses, and looking through the dumpsters when there's less people around. It's not as intimidating to look in dumpsters because you don't feel as judged if there aren't as many people around watching you. And it's also easier to find like great stuff because people leave stuff behind when they move out, especially people who don't really take into account the meaning of these things. And maybe this beautiful set of pans could mean something to someone else. And so, or they just don't have the time to donate. But I think dumpster diving is important, will be, continue to become more important for a lot of people as the cost of living rises and survival becomes a lot of people's main goals, surviving with a degree of comfort that we all want to maintain. My favorite thing that I've dumpster dived for is this whiteboard, which I use every single day. And that's a, student luxury item, but it's very useful. I like to draw on it and everything. And I want to take you around a couple of things that I actually did buy this year that are meaningful to me. I bought them new, not used, which is, I try to buy things used because it's way more sustainable, and it's important to put your dollars where your mouth is. So I bought these creatures new this year from a guy at the local Renaissance fair. And I think I bought like 5 this year, and I think I have maybe like 9 total. There's another one over there. But I like them because they keep me company and they make me feel a little bit like safe in this terrible world. And they're colorful. Number 2, I bought this Radiohead poster because Radiohead has become very important to me over the past year. And their music, I think, really plays into a lot of what we're feeling, what a lot of us are feeling kind of about the world and the detriment of, things as we know it, and postmodernism and this whole landscape of fear. And so they're very important to me. And as I look around the room, I'm trying to find other things I bought for new. And I found one more thing. Also Radiohead, Hail to the Thief vinyl, which is important to me. And I did buy 2 other records this year. I bought a Moonshaped Pool and the 2021 Amnesiac double LP, which are not in my room. But those are the things I bought for new this year. And now I will show you the things I have in my room that I use every day, and I bought them used and they work just fine. And I bought them at a massive discount, and I use them every day. Number 1, this rug. It's shaped like a mushroom. I got it on eBay for $15 because I wanted a decorative rug, but I didn't want to give Home Goods my money. So you can go on ebay.com and find stuff, and believe it or not, it won't be dirty after you put it in the washing machine, which all of us still should have access to, a lot of us, thankfully. Other things I've bought used are this winter coat. It's a very nice coat. I've had it for several years, and I'm glad that I bought it used because it was already broken in, and it was a massive discount from the normally super high price for such good gear for winter sports and such. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, this sweater I found at a thrift store, and I have not set foot in a thrift store in 2025. That's a lie. I did set foot in a thrift store once, and that's where I purchased those aforementioned 5 articles of clothing. This sweater I got from a thrift store, and it's one of my favorite things, and it's like my one piece of clothing that kind of makes me feel cool despite perhaps not wearing a wide variety of clothes. I pull this out once in a while for special occasions, and I think that's enough for me. And I will say, even looking at my closet now, I have way more things than I could wear in 1 week, and that makes me feel kind of sad because ultimately I want to be at a point where I have only enough that I need, 7 t-shirts total, hypothetically 1 item of clothing for each day of the week, and maybe an extra. So maybe that doesn't mean like 7 shirts, but maybe 3 or 4 shirts. Obviously underwear and socks are necessities. So, 8 to 9 of those. And I do have only 2 pairs of pants, 3, that I cycle through right now. I have this pair of sweatpants, which I did buy new several years ago. I have another pair of sweatpants, same situation, and then I have a pair of pants that I found in my sister's donation bin that she didn't want anymore, so I have it now. Oh, I found something else that I actually did find on the side of a dumpster, which is this wonderful shelf that stores my items. And you shouldn't spend money on shelves because you can dumpster dive for them at your local for like college town buildings. And I think my number one tip for dumpster diving is be discreet, because it's important for people to continue to have access to these things in not secrecy, but it's important to be on the down low. And that leads me into my next topic, which is my plan to live out of a car in the following years, maybe, or just for a short period of time, maybe not a whole year. So I have done 3 camping trips, which basically consists of me and a partner living in the car for like a week and a half. And that means not pitching a tent, which saves time. That means being a little bit more secure than camping in general. And it also means being able to park and sleep. And a lot of people are taking this up as a full-time thing that they do. Obviously, van life is a big thing right now. And there's a lot of, romanticizing it. And it's not always fun. It's hard, to find places to sleep every night where you will be safe for the night. You won't get bothered by law enforcement or people, that you don't want to run into. Perhaps people out on the street at night. We all want to feel safe in our sleeping area. It's not like a campground. The city is not like a campground, is what I'm trying to say. But I found that there are many ways to do this, and the fact that it's gaining popularity means there are some areas that are known, places where you can stay, and that's nice. And I think people still need to be, and I think the whole car living community agrees that people need to be discreet about that. But I think it's very good that people are starting to accept living in your car as maybe not so much a form of homelessness, but as a form of financial freedom. Ultimately, for a lot of people, that's what it means. For probably the vast majority of people, it means saving money, because there's no money to live in an apartment that costs $1,000 a month, and that is perfectly reasonable. And yeah, I've been very concerned about my future, and I think all of us are all of us young people are very concerned, and a lot of us think, it's not out of the question that we will all most certainly die in a nuclear explosion, and that's probably not worst case scenario, but it's one of the worst case scenarios. Definitely worst case scenario is painful death, but that's probably not something that a lot of us need to worry about. So if a nuclear explosion is perhaps one of the worst case scenarios right now in this moment, we need to remove ourselves from the current state of affairs of the world that is despair, and that's very hard, but yeah, it's very difficult to be positive. And I think obviously it's very easy to say that we all need to live in the present moment, but there are certainly ways that you can implement presence mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, into your daily routine. And it starts with just focusing on your breath. And this is something that requires discipline, and I will admit I have not been good at implementing mindfulness into my daily routine, but once I get there, I know it will provide a lot of relief. In the same way, it took a long time to implement an exercise routine for myself, but now that I have done that, it's been very rewarding, and I look forward to it. And meditation in the form of just literally just sitting and focusing on your breath and not having your phone in front of you and not looking at a screen. It's very important to give your brain a break from, the constant stream of information that all of us are subject to every waking moment of the day. And I wish it wasn't so hard to just live normally like our ancestors intended, but it is, and that means we need to put in the work. So not only do we need to put in the work to live more frugally, so that we can achieve a more comfortable standard of living, while also, being able to afford, nice food and time with friends and everything. And we can do that by reducing the things that we buy, specifically in the form of clothes. Number two, we can obtain used items if we need them. And whether that means you buy stuff used at a thrift store or dumpster diving, which there's no shame. I think a lot of people still place a lot of shame on these kinds of things that sort of make you, they make you feel maybe dirty. But again, there's no such thing as an article of clothing that can't be cleaned unless it's beyond repair. Let's be real. But no one is going around buying used, articles. No one's going around taking used clothing that's beyond repair kind of thing. And then also, just thinking about consuming less in general in terms of social media is going to be very important increasingly as we continue to let our brains rot. We are pretty much depleting our brain of the chemical balances that are required to live a normal life, like our, frolicking in nature ancestors, and just the people of pre-modern times, I guess, pre-postmodern, so modern, the people of modern times, before technology. And so be comfortable being, dirty in the eye of society, American society. Be comfortable with not following the dream of, making as much money as possible. You can, as long as you have yourself that you're providing for, there are ways to make things easy and let money stretch a little bit further. And that means not consuming as much and giving up luxuries like buying trinkets. There's no need. Although I did talk about today how I have some trinkets that I do appreciate, and I think they can be important, but there's a limit. I've only bought these trinkets maybe 3 times in the past 2 years, and I think that's fine for me. But there'll be an upper limit to the amount of space I have, and I can't take these with me when I die, so there's really no need. If you're watching this and you got this far, listening to a young person talk about maybe their way of life that they're trying to live, and maybe I hope you got something from this. This is just me talking about my lifestyle, and maybe someone can be inspired by it, and just ultimately consume less. That is the idea of what I've been trying to say in this video. And remember, you have yourself and your family and your community, and talk to each other, and try to stay off your phone, delete social media once in a while. And also a huge life hack is turning your phone color off, turning the color off on your phone. You just go into settings and you look up color filters and press the on button, and it turns gray and black and white, and that is much less exciting for your brain, and it's kind of a huge hack. And I will be doing that because I have been scrolling too much recently. Yeah. Okay.